Good afternoon, race fans. Welcome into the Odds Couple Show. Jimmy McNerney alongside Dan Cronin. Wonderful Friday night card here, Dan, to handicap here. We have 8 races on the card. Friday every night here at the track. I see you're not partaking yet, but we do have dollar beers.
I should be, but I was rolling downstairs, so I was like, well,
pace yourself.
As long as I'm winning, I don't want to start.
That's right. Pace makes the
until
race.
A little bit later.
Well, I think we can win tonight. There's it's a pretty good card, and I think if you can be right tonight, you're going to be paid. Mm-hmm. It's we were just speaking prior to coming on, and you were speaking that you don't even one of the very few nights in several years where you don't have a single in the early pick 5. So we're going to have to spread, and I'm interested to see your thoughts and opinions as we get through this card. Again, 8 races on the card. There's a carryover in the high 5 just shy of $4,000. That goes in race number 8. $1 dogs, $1 beers, $1 bets here on Dollar Friday. We'll have live music later on from Doghouse. You'll be sticking around for that?
I'm sticking around for a little while.
Okay. Well, hopefully you keep winning. And
if I got the pick 5 alive, I'm staying.
All righty. Well, let's get into that pick 5. It starts in race number 1 here in just about 48 minutes to post. Now, it's a 50-cent base bet. Race 1 kicks it off. Made in Philly, 3-year-old, 75 claimers, and it's a full field of 12. How'd you see this one?
Boy, I thought this race was absolutely wide open. I mean, I took 2, 5, 7, 8, 9, 12 in the pick 5, and I don't feel safe.
You're not confident?
I am not confident I'm going to get through. That's how tough this early pick 5 is. I like the 8 Mountain Melodies a little bit the best, just because Maker ran second a couple times, gets Corrales, but was the beaten favorite last time. You know, and I did have the rail, and maybe wasn't able to get out the way they wanted to or whatever. But the horse is probably going to be a big favorite, and I'm not. I mean, those figures are just not very good. Mm-hmm. So somebody could improve. I mean, there's 20-1 shots in here that have a chance.
There are a couple, and I'm like you. I like the 8 Mountain Melodies, but I think she's going to be over bet. Do I want to use her in a pick 5? Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm not going to bet straight on her. I probably won't bet straight on the race. I probably just bet the pick 5. But number 7, Templeman, I guess you can make a case for her. She will need some pace in front of her, though. Although on the stretch out, I think she'll be a lot closer to the pace. And she drops from the straight maiden to the 75, although a straight maiden at Mahoney Valley isn't anywhere close to a straight maiden here. But 3 back at that maiden 15 here was second, beating 7 lengths to Wesley Ward's Win Ya Bay. So 1 start over the poly, second place finish. I think you got to figure to use her on the class drop. Yep. And after that, I'm like you. I'm going to use a few horses. Number 5, Sister Diablo is another one at a price. Yep. I'll throw in the pick 5, Daughter of Palace Malice. Made her polytrack debut back on January 24th, was 4th, beaten 5 lengths that day. And looks to improve second start off the layoff on the stretch out. Billy Morey's having a pretty good meet for his first showing here at Turfway.
Yeah, I thought the 9 had a chance too at a big price. I mean, why not? Just ran third a couple times, right behind the favorite. Mm-hmm. So
using the 8 at 3-1, well, I wouldn't use the 10 or the 9 at 10-1.
And I think he'll be every bit of 10-1, maybe higher in the pick 5s. Yep. So I think it's one of these races. We do these all the time in the pick 5. There's attack races and there's spread races, and I think this is a spread race. You just want to be alive at the end of it. Take as many as your budget will allow. Stab some long shots. Don't just take all the favorites. I thought the 2 had a chance. The 5s, 12-1 had a chance. I mean, I didn't even mention the 6. That horse obviously has a chance. Second route, why not? The 7's going to get bet a little bit. The 9's 10-1 got a chance. So I mean, there's.
How many are you going to take here?
I'm going to try to stay in budget, and my budget is 2, 5, 7, 8, 9, 12.
Okay. So that starts at pick 5, 2, 5, 7, 8, 9. So you're using 6 horses here in the opening leg of the pick 5. I'm like him. I'm on the same horses for all the same reasons, and I'll throw in a couple of those he added as well. Just because I'm going to go pretty short in the pick 5 late. The final leg, I'm only going to use 2 horses in the 5th race, and I almost almost singled, but I'm going to add 2 horses in there. But we'll get to that as we progress here. The next race we'll talk about is race number 2. It starts the early pick 4, small takeout, 14% takeout on our pick 4s here, and we'll kick it off with a non-2 claimer. This, for me, is a race I'm going to spread a little bit. I'm not going to go as deep. The 3rd race is the one I'm completely baffled by where I'm going to spread out. But race 2, if the race had a little more pace in the race, a little more speed in the race, I may be a little more confident in my top pick, being number 12, Great. I think that horse will need some pace to run at. Yeah. Although stretching out, I don't think the horse will move forward, but I think it's going to need some pace.
If he wasn't in the 12 hole.
Right.
That's the problem.
And that's the two horses on paper, numbers-wise, to me, are the best two horses are drawn to the outside. So 6 furlong distance, I'd be all over 'em.
Right.
Mile, I'm going to have to spread. I'm using those two, number 6, Native Flora. I think maybe the Lone Speed and get loose on the lead, but I'm going to have 6 horses probably in the next leg. So I'm going to use 3 or 4 in here.
What numbers are you? I'm only using 2 of them in here, and you haven't mentioned my top one yet.
I'm using the 6, 11, and 12, and I'm waiting to hear what you have to say to sway me into using.
Okay, my top pick's the 2, Liber Plus.
Okay, why?
Good inside post, going a mile. Sprinter going a route. Only broke a length off in a 5.5 race that was incredibly fast.
Yes, it was.
Toothpick, actually, who's never passed a horse in his life, broke last, swooped him, and won. So the pace was hot. I mean, that was a very good pace. I love Hawthorne shippers. One of them paid $100 and something the other night. You know, these Hawthorne shippers come and they win and they run well. This horse ran a winning race last time, and I think he was the only horse to keep running. When the rest of them all caved in and Toothpick ran by, Liber kept running. So now there's no speed in here. If Orm just if he just breaks and goes, this field's not very good. I mean, they might just keep plodding around there. He may be
I can see that.
Maybe the 6 will go and he'll sit second, but I think the 2 is going to have every single chance to win. And I don't think there's anything about his form that tell me that he's a bum or he just doesn't have a chance. That 58 number, now I know that came out of nowhere, zeros and negatives, and all of a sudden, bang,
But that number, when he came out with that number, it was synthetic. Look at his synthetic record. I mean, it makes sense.
Go back to Arlington, he aired him.
Yeah.
So why can't he air him again? If this horse makes the lead or sits second, might roar by on the turn, and if the 12 gets a bad trip, which could happen from the 12 hole, I'm only using 2 and 12. If I get beat, I get beat. It's too difficult of a sequence to use more.
You have to cut somewhere, I guess. But no, that horse, I see that stretching out. Like I just spoke earlier, there's no speed in the race. The horse does figure to be on the lead, drawn to the inside. Yeah, I'll add that horse in my sequence now. Number 2, Liber Plus, 9-2. Your top pick. You're going to use the 12 now. Talk about the 3, 20-1 on the morning line.
Yeah, I pitched into 3 for a couple reasons. Again, sometimes at Turfway, these shippers, we don't know where they fit because they haven't been on the poly. We don't know if they like it. And you can get these monster prices on these shippers the first time over at Turfway. So if the 2 goes and can't get the distance, the 12 gets a bad trip, I would want a horse like this. It's 20, 30, 40-1 that's going to sit back, blast home. I mean, some of these back numbers are good enough to win.
Are.
So maybe he likes the poly. I don't know. I mean, he ran second on the turf. Why not? Those turf races are not bad. Got beat a nose at 111-1 at Ellis Park. So, maybe the horse will just sit back, and when they all stop, he'll keep running and blow up the board.
That's the kind of horse you want to have because not a lot of people are going to have him.
Right, yeah.
I
So
get it.
if I took a third horse, which I don't know, I am winning today, so I might expand that ticket a little, but 212 for sure.
Okay. That's race 2, start of the pick 4, second leg of that pick 5. As we move on to the third race, which starts the 20-cent single 6 jackpot wager that was hit last night, and we only went into the single 6 last night with just like $370 in carryover. So they bet some money into it. One winner took away almost $4,500 last night on a card that pretty much was favorites, and every horse figured you didn't have to go very deep to hit it last night. And so I expect much of the same tonight. Another similar pool in there tonight. Race 3, start of the single 6, Philly Mare non-2, 15 claimers. In this race for me, I'm spreading. I'm going to use 5 horses in here. And our top picks look the same, 6, 8, and 10. And
that's amazing. And it's as hard as this race is.
Yeah, I'm using those 3 horses. I'll add in the 2 and 5 as well. But number 6, Centerfold Angel, I thought probably was the best horse in the race. That race last start, I'm going to draw a line through it. But that was a very, very tough race. That allowance race back on January 25th and going a mile again today. But 2 back, I like that race for the A other than optional. That was a very good field. The winner that day won by over 12 lengths. This horse got beat 16 lengths. Ruby Trust is back in an allowance race, I believe, for next Thursday here after finishing. She came out of this race and ran at a stake event in Fairgrounds and was 3rd for the Ortiz barn. So that trip back at Churchill for the non-220, if that horse runs that race, should get paid tonight. But The horse kind of maybe tailing off why they're dropping it in class, but you get Hot Rodding Joseph Ramos up top. And after that, going to Temple, I'm going to use this one two back. Do you remember that race?
I'm trying to remember.
Look at the short comment. You ever seen that one?
Oh, I do remember this. This
trigger
horse
it?
was going to win for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely
I knew
was
as soon
going
as
to win,
you-
and I don't know what happened. Almost fell off.
Yeah, that's the race I'm going back to, and I knew as soon as I pointed it out, you'd remember.
Yeah, I do remember.
This going to Temple, two back in that 15 non-2 on January 1st was much the best, should have won, and you see in the short comment, Equibase chart callers have notated that the rider lost balance in the stretch and appears to cost this horse the win. Came back, horse was claimed that day, came back, I guess they couldn't get a non-2 to fill for this horse, so they opted to go in the non-3. Ran a respectable 7th, only beaten 7.5 lengths, so it's kind of split the field, but second start off the layoff, drops back to a non-2, and is a horse I'm going to use in here. Then the 10 Tricky Tune I'll use, Hammond with a couple of wins on the card last night as well.
Well, what's funny when you pointed out the 8 going to Temple, when I'm a class handicapper, I always have been. What you can tell, even for the most novice handicapper, if you look at the 8s, last 2 starts, that tells you everything you need to know about class levels. Ran a 53, got beat right on the wire. Ran a 50, which is, 10 feet slower, and ran 7th.
Right.
Ran the same race basically that she ran the time before. She just run against better horses. So she's 5, 6, 7 lengths behind. Well, sometimes these trainers and these owners, they get aggressive when they think the horse, oh, well, win by 5, came back, should have won, rider almost fell off, so let's just go ahead and act like she won and enter her in the non-3. Well, why?
Right.
You can enter a non-2 and win. Now you're non-3, and you'd only get so much run out of these horses. I think sometimes you get a little too aggressive, and maybe the races didn't go. I don't know what happened, but
I think that's the case with this particular horse.
yeah. So probably just wanted to get another run. I don't know what happened, but back in the right condition against the right horses. The problem is I'm not sure they thought that Centerfold Angel was going to enter,
Right.
because Centerfold Angel's running allowance non-2, drops all the way to 15,000 non-2. That's a gigantic drop. An optional 25 before that. So I think what happened with this horse is one maiden claiming 15, went into 20 non-2, ran a good third, and all of a sudden they think they got a world beater.
Yep.
So now let's step them up over their head, and that's why the horse ran bad twice. Put them back where they belong, like we like to say, against their friends. Just like me and you running a 100-yard dash, but if we go in against some 20-year-olds, it's kind of a waste of our time, right?
Yeah, we're going to be also ran.
Right, so
Call the
So I think you could probably get away with 6-8, but I added the 10.
Me too. I just wanted to have a little coverage, so I'm going to add some other horses just in case something impossible happens.
Yeah, so I couldn't find a single in this sequence, so 6, 8, 10 to me. I think we can get through. I'm hoping I can get through because the next horse breaks every rule at Turfway Park.
You're not going to do it.
So
what we're talking about, we're going to ease into the 4th race here. It's a filly and mare condition claimer, non-winners a race in a full year, and we're going to go a sprint distance of 6.5 furlongs. And Dan is going to break the rule that he says he'll never break, but he's going to break it. And that is a horse out of the rail.
It's the first. I think it's the first time in 2 to 3 years that I have picked a horse out of the one hole going 6.5 at Turfway on top.
Yeah, I wanted to. The horse figures, and she's much the best on paper, but I'm not going to do it. In fact,
there's no way I'm singling.
No, I'm not either. Now, if she had 3 to the outside, I single. But even the 4 hole, maybe the 4 hole out, I single. But I'm not going to single her just because of post position. The number, you can look the stats up.
Big field, gonna get bogged down in there unless Johnny says, well, let's try to make the lead. I don't know what he's gonna do from
that's
down
about
there.
to be taken, I think. So
3 for 27.
I had to go against it because I'm like you, but
I just didn't know what to do. So
you have to use the horse, but I can't comfortably recommend single the horse.
I'm taking 1, 9, 11. I had to take the 2 outsides as coverage. I see you're going to use the 12 also. I couldn't talk you out of that one.
Well, I wanted to have some coverage. Obviously, the one on paper is the horse, but she's got the 1 hole. I'm going to try to beat her because I'm like you. If she guns, she's going to have to send for her life because there's speed to the outside of her. She's going to be bogged down to the inside, and she's going to have to be much the best. Also, she'll have to be much the best if she lets him go, comes back, gets all the way back, takes
All
it,
the
goes
way
around. She's going to run 7 furlongs instead of 6.5. So I'm going to the outside. Horse already in the clear. Vita Leva U on the turnback. We like that here. Machado doesn't have the best of meat off his couple of meat titles last year, but he's rounding in form. He started winning the past couple of weeks. Karamori's a very good trainer. The horse loves Turfway. The horse I'm using for second, number 12, Boo Hoo Sue. I'm adding in the pick 4s as well and pick 5s. This horse, that race 2 back, that number is usually good enough to win this race.
Right.
This horse debuted
40,
here at Turfway,
40s, 50s.
and that was a 2 in a full year. Got beat a length to a pretty good field. Woman of Love came back with second for 8. Then so they run the horse back in the right condition, and I don't know what happened, but Jim Watkins is a good trainer. And Rodney's a good rider. At 15-1 in a race where the favorite's buried on the fence, I wanted to have a horse of value like this.
Tell me you're going to use the 9 in the pick 5.
No. I have budget reasons. I may in a pick
Okay.
4. Pick 5 I can't.
Well, here's my thought. Mile, turn him back to 6.5.
I get it.
Outside, a hard rider that's going to ride. I mean, he's going to try.
He does try.
2 wins at Turfway. If this race would cave and they're all staggering, this one will be running. Now, maybe he'll be running for the end of the trifecta, but if they all start to stagger, if the one gets a clean trip, he's going to win. I just can't tell you that he's going to get the clean trip. So I want the 2 turnbacks, the 9 and 11, that are both going to be coming at the end. And if the one would happen to get, in some trouble, like they all do from down in there, then I'm going to have some other coverage.
Right.
I just cannot single the one. If you want to, I get it. I understand if you're doing it. He just breaks every rule for me, so I got to take other horses. So I'm taking 1, 9, 11.
Using 1, 9, 11 in the pick 5?
Yep.
You adding anybody else in the pick 4 or no? Or are you just playing the pick 5?
I'm just going to play the pick 5.
Okay, well, that's race 4 with 32 minutes of post. That takes us to race 5. I'm cutting it real short in race 5. I almost singled in here. I am going to use 2 horses. My top pick in the race, I wanted to single this horse so bad. And in the 5th race, that is number 7, Barracuda, race 5. Maiden filly mare 6.5.
There goes our price.
You like her too?
Yeah, the 1 start, Correas. Doesn't this horse have to improve?
I think she has to improve, and I almost texted Brian. I was going to have maybe do a backtrack, but I thought maybe we'd be short on time, so I didn't worry about it. But on January 25th on debut, this horse ran in a maiden special weight. It was a pretty good race, faced a couple in here, and the horse was slow to begin, but then kind of rushed up. Machado, the whole entire race, it just looked like he had a handful of horse and just waiting to go.
Yeah.
And he looped around the field, going around the turn, top of the lane. I still thought the horse was going to win.
Yep.
And then
So did
the
I.
last 16th, the horse started getting late and just got out knotted for 3rd. Only got beat 4 lengths. Will improve, gets an extra half furlong. I think the breeding suggests that. And the mare was a pretty good mare. She was stakes placed and made $100,000. She's thrown 4 horses a race, and one of those is graded stakes place. So has some pedigree. Strong connections. Rockingham Ranch, David Burnson, and Correas.
And isn't this
5 to
another
1.
one that if we could lock in 5 to 1, we'd lock it in?
I would start betting right now and punch it till my fingers bleed.
5 to 1.
I love this filly tonight, and like I said, I almost singled.
I don't know how you make this horse 5 to 1.
Well, it's a full. It's a full field, and you want to take a look at this race? Thanks to our friends here at the track, we've got a backtrack for you.
All right.
Courtesy of Mr. Bain and the rest of the
do
folks here. Number 7, Barracuda, on debut here on January 25th. She's a daughter of Gradar. You'll see her at the Gray Horse. She's 5th as they're midpoint through the turn. Now, he's been locked and loaded the entire time. She's number 8. He's breezing up to these horses in hand. He hasn't moved a muscle. And right here in the middle turn, I said, it's just a matter of how far this horse is going to win by.
She's going to explode, right?
Frills ended up winning the race, the horse in front, but here she comes, top of the lane, and when she switches off cover, she got a tiny bit of trouble there, but still looks like she's going to win. She's on the wrong lead, and now she switches here in just a second, and now
Still
all of a
think she
sudden you
might
get to
win.
the last furlong,
And got a little tired.
she starts getting late. But in the final stretch, she still fought on. You have the 2 horses to the inside of her. The one will just out-bob her here right on the square. She'll lose a dirty head bob for 3rd. But on debut, that's a strong race, and I look for the horse to move forward off that race, and for those reasons, I think she's a standout. Tickle, you got to use. She was 2nd, last start in the maiden special weight. The horse that won that race, Fashion Code from the Asmussen barn, She came back and was third
Yep.
in the Cincinnati Trophy Stakes. So outside of them, I'm going to throw in the 10 Eden for third. She's a daughter of Curlin on debut. And Curlin, as a sire, is having a pretty good year. He's already, I think, sired 4 stake winners and over 30 winners. And the mare's a pretty good horse as well. And this field, outside those two, I can't make a case for anybody, but this horse is owned by Windstar Stablemates, got a good series of works. If you're using a horse, the bottom of your try behind those, I think that's one.
Yeah, I think you're safe with 6, 7, 10 and the pick 5, the pick 4. If you wanted a long shot, I think the 1. Even again, you got the 1 hole going 6.5, which is just, I mean, it's like driving a Chevette to Florida. I mean, you just can't get a worse scenario. But second start out, broke sluggish, rushed all the way up into the lead at 55-1 against Fashion Code and Tickle, ran respectable. Going to be every bit of 15-1. Maybe we'll be able to work out a trip second time. If the horse wasn't 15-1, I wouldn't even talk about him.
Right.
But the 6, 7, and 10 are so obvious. I really like the 7. All my extra tickets are going to be with the 7. If I get anywhere near 5-1, I'm going to be betting straight on the 7. I'll probably take 2.5-1.
Right.
If
And she's come back since that.
if she opens 6-5, then I'll just sit and hope
Adjust.
I got the pick 5.
Yeah, she's come back since her debut race and's got 2 good solid works, including a bullet back on February 17th. She's my horse of the night. I like, and the pick 5, I'm going to tackle late when I'll probably play multiple tickets.
How many will you use in the pick 4 to start?
In here?
In the 5th race.
I'm just using her and Tickle.
Okay, so
Because I think
6, 7 only.
Yeah, I'm gonna add a little bit and just use instead of singling, but I'm gonna play a couple dollar ones instead of 50-cent ones because I think Maker has a horse in the 7th race. It's probably a single. The last race is a race that there's a horse I like a lot, but it's one of those races that can be impossible. So I'm going to spread there as well. But race 5, I think it's all about Barracuda. You're in agreement. Tickle is a usable horse as well.
And I can't wait for this next race.
And the next race, actually, I lied. I am going to use the 10 in the pick 4, 6, 7, 10.
But we're going to have to wait for a couple minutes at least for the 6th, right?
Okay, well, we'll come back and talk about the final 3 because with 27 minutes to post, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a pause for the cause here as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem.
So you're going to do an exacta 6 with.
Good evening once again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into Turfway Park. The windows are open. 8 races on this Dollar Friday card. Live music, dollar dogs, dollar beers, dollar bets, and a high 5 carryover. At this time, if you'll take out your racing programs, I'll give you tonight's late program changes. First race kicks off the pick 5 with just 15% takeout. There are no changes. Race 1 is clear. Second race, there is a jockey change on number 9, Lethal Levy. Trainer Kelly Spanabel will put a knot in her range. Ricky Knott on number 9, Lethal Levy. Scratch number 13 and 14. Third race, start of the singles 6, no carryover. There is a scratch in race number 3 of the 7, Narrows Bridge. Number 7, Narrows Bridge, has been withdrawn from the third. No changes in race 4. If you'll turn your programs to race number 5. Race 5 starts our late pick 4 with just 14% takeout. One change, scratch number 3, Daisy Jane. Number 3, Daisy Jane, has been scratched. Sixth race is the Kentucky Cup Classic Prep. We also recognize the birthday bash here for Glenda Lindsay. In the Kentucky Cup Classic Prep, scratch number 1, United Stand. There's a jockey change on number 4, Ramsey Solution. Make that rider Alban Jimenez. Race 7, sponsored by ESI Electric. There are a couple of scratches. Scratch number 1A, Go Navy Go. Scratch the 2, Perfectly Majestic. And scratch the 9, Tobacco Road. 1A to 9 have been scratched from race 7. Eighth and final, 2 changes. Simply scratch the also eligibles, numbers 13 and 14. The also eligibles, numbers 13 and 14, scratch from race number 8. And don't forget that high 5 carryover, just shy of $4,000. Those are the changes at this time. Any changes coming in throughout the balance of the program, I'll get those to you as they do so. First post on Dollar Friday in 23 minutes. Welcome back to the Odds Couple Show, ladies and gentlemen. Prior to the break, we got through the first 5 races on the card. We have 3 left to talk about, and race number 6 starts at final rolling pick 3. It's the Kentucky Cup Classic Prep. Now, that is a prep for the Kentucky Cup Classic, the race we brought back on Jeff Ruby's Stakes Day. That's on March 14th, and we had a couple preps for that stake last week, the Battaglia and the Cincinnati Trophy. I think the favorite in the Ruby is going to come from the Battaglia. Invader was pretty impressive, and Carrick in the Cincinnati Trophy turned in a good performance as well.
Yeah, we've had some tremendous preps, and this is another one, just tremendous. I don't know if it's just the purses or what, but, I mean, the whole meet has just been so much better this year versus the last couple years, which is awesome for us and everybody else. And I mean, a $53,000 prep. I mean,
it's a prep for a stake, and it could be a stake. And in fact, these horses will come back on March 14th for the Kentucky Cup Classic, most likely. Now, speaking of that March 14th day, you have purchased your tickets yet?
Purchased my tickets? No, but
do you have your tickets yet?
I hope so. I've asked several times.
Essentially, you purchased.
I've asked several times.
So. Yeah. If you haven't done so yet, you can still do that, but they're going quickly. The Jeff Ruby Stakes Day on March 14th. It is daytime post of 110. And
which we love.
Love it. 6 stakes on the card, highlighted, of course, by the Ruby. You can still get those tickets. Contact 371-0200. They're going quickly. We have the tent. We have plenty of VIP, home stretch, players row, several different options to fit your budget, but you want to act on that quickly. They are going very, very fast. Now that's going to be the last, of course, the last Jeff Ruby Stakes in this building, so a lot of people are taking place. They want to be here.
You got to come. Yeah. You have to.
Yeah.
And how do you miss this?
I'm not going to miss it. So,
well, I was asked again to go to Vegas that weekend for the Pac-12 conference tournament, and I said, I'm sorry, you're going to have to win that thing without me. I'm going to the last Jeff Ruby Stakes. I'm not missing this. Sorry. I've lived here my whole life. I want to be here for this. And the card is going to be outstanding.
Yeah.
It is going to be one of the best betting cards. Other than the Oaks, Derby, and Breeders' Cup, it might be the best betting card of the year other than those days.
Well, that'd be a good bottom of the super. I mean, to be fourth behind those. So,
the pick fives, the pick fours, the doubles. I mean, there's going to be prices.
So you figure
all
we'll
over
have
the
12
place.
races, 6 stakes, and the rest of them will be either maiden special weights or first level allowance races, I think is what's in the condition book. So I'm excited for that. And one of those races we'll see on that day is the Kentucky Cup Classic. The prep is what we're going to talk about now. There is one scratch number 1 United stand. This is a loaded race. I think you can make a case for several horses in here. In fact, we do have the winner of the Ruby from last year. Some like it Hot Brown's in here. I'm going to go against him, though. How'd you see it?
I'm going against him, too. He may win, but that last race just was so bad. I just can't get that last race out of my head. So I want to see one. Maybe this will be a prep, and he'll run a lot better because he likes this place. But he's facing a couple of them that are really, really good. Moon Over Montana is one of the better poly horses you'll ever see. 9 out of 10 1-2.
Yeah.
5 wins on the synthetic, 2 for 2 here, and I'm not just talking about wins. I'm talking about blowout wins.
He ran out the screen both times.
Monster figures. If he runs back to those 2 figures that he ran at Turfway, and I know it wasn't against as good a horses, but if he does that, they can't be in the same zip code as him.
Yeah, he's going to be tough to handle.
I just don't know if he can, though.
I liked him as well, and I don't know if he can either. He has changed barns. Since then, he was claimed in his last start. Now, taking nothing away from Kim Hammond, but maybe Ravelli has the horse's whole card. I don't know. We're still yet to see. But Kim Hammond with a pair of wins on the card last night. I see why you like the horse. I liked it as well. I'm gonna use him as well. But I tried to beat him with a horse, another one who loves the synthetic. 4-time winner, 2 of those here at Turfway. I'm going to draw a line through the last race in the 4-go. The horse was the beaten favorite, but 6.5 isn't his lick. Now, he's won at 6.5 one time, but,
he
the
wants
stretch
to
out.
lead.
The stretch out to
But
the
can
distance.
he get it?
I don't know.
Can
He's
he
going to
get an
have
easy
company, but I think he's one of those that has a real big heart, and I think the more he gets pressured, the stronger he gets and the gamer he gets.
He's going to have to be ready because the 4 is going to show speed, the 5 is going to show speed, the 6 is going to show speed, the 7 can't win. And then you got the old timer, the 8, who I talked about a few shows ago, is one of my favorite horses in the world.
Yeah, you gave him out at like 15-1 in the stake, I think.
Yep. They're 13-1.
Now, how'd you feel about that starter performance when he got beat 23 lengths last start?
I was extremely upset because I needed him as a single.
Were you here or home?
I was at home by then, and
How's your remotes doing?
I couldn't believe the performance. Now, the other horse did get an easy lead.
Yeah,
and
that was a
just
mile
keep
and a
running.
half.
It was a mile and a half, and, maybe once they couldn't make a dent, he just kind of jogged home. But I think the turn back and distance will help. I think the pace is really going to help.
I think the pace will help. He's going to have to step up numbers-wise, I think, to beat this this field. A horse I like a lot, number 4, Ramsey Solution. Now, like you said, this horse is going to be up close, but that win on January 11th was so impressive. I mean, it shows he rallied from off the paces, won by 3.5 lengths, but it could have been 13.5 lengths.
Yeah.
Julio was kind of in trouble in the first turn and had to grab him, and it looked like once he grabbed the horse, really took a hold of him, and he sat off the pace and really just guzzled this horse. He looked back 2 or 3 times for competition. There never was any. He turned his stick over about the 16th pole, but never hit him, and just kind of hand rode and punched him home, and could have won by much easier. Now, will he have to step up? Yes. That was a non-2. Okay field. The horse that was third in that came back and won an allowance race last night, but you got Moon Over Montana, you have the likes of Lanier, and the horse that we're against, some like it Hot Brown, has done nothing wrong on the synthetic. He returns to the poly where he's 2 for 2. He won the Ruby last year. Now, his last race at Gulfstream, if I had never seen him race here, I would toss him completely and not give him any chance. He was on the outside the entire way. He never switched leads, but returns to a track he likes, and, you have to respect Mike Maker.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this horse is a nice horse. It's just a matter of if he's ready, if he's right. So I'm going to take a few.
I'm going to try to beat him 5-2.
Yeah,
There's a lot of people they're going to probably single.
Yeah, I'm taking a few of them in here because I'm singling in the next.
Me too. Is it a Maker piece?
Yes, it's Maker. Is it going to be the same one? So instead of 3-1, we're going to end up with 2-5.
So we'll move on to the 7th race, sponsored by ESI Electric, and it's a 2 other than to go a mile. And let's see. Here in the 7th race, I'm going to single the 7. Is that who you're singing, Karoom?
Yes, I'm singling the 7.
Well, tell us why.
Well, I mean, I'm a numbers guy.
Right.
I'm a Mike Maker guy as it is. I love betting on Mike Maker. I love Maker from turf to poly, long distance races. I think he knows where to put horses, and if this horse likes a synthetic, there's nobody close to this horse.
I don't think so either.
Figure wise, I mean, he just figures to sit mid pack with a really good rider. The posts don't bother me. I mean, maybe the entry could upset him. The 2 or 2B. Maybe Shakes Creek could go all the way. I mean, he almost went all the way in that 1.25 miles, but.
I'm using that horse. I'm singling the 7, but in my tries and exactas, obviously you have to use Shakes Creek. But if there ever was a horse that could potentially bounce, those fractions that horse set last time are almost unheard of. That was going 1.25 miles. He went 23, 46 and 2. 3/4 was 11 and 2.
Yeah, and he just
kept going like the Energizer Bunny. He just got a dirty Bob.
That was, if you bet on him that day, that was one of the most brutal beats ever.
That was a bad beat.
Because that was I don't even know if that was a full nose.
No, it was awful. Lowe's Journey come from last and nabbed him. But 5-1, all the money's going to be on the 7.
Yeah.
I'm using him
He's
second.
my single.
I'm going to use Full Around in the try, 10-1 for D. Poulos. This one will be rolling late, and D. Poulos a very good trainer. 10-1, I wanted some value in behind it. I'm singling in the pick 4, but my top 3 are 7, 3, and 8. And that takes us to the 8th and final, where we do have that sizable high 5 carryover. Excuse me. And in the pick 4, I'm using at least five or 6 horses here. How about you?
I'm hitting the all button.
I can see why.
I'm 3 by 2, by 1, by all.
Oh, your budget allows you.
Yeah, because I'm taking Peekaboo and Moon Over Montana, trying to beat some like it Hot Brown. I'm going to take the 6, 7, and 10 in the 5th. So I'm only 3 times 2 times 1. So I'm 6 times however many's left, 12. And that's not a killer on anybody.
No.
So, I'm going to try to go for the long shot in the last race. I'm just hoping that something crazy happens, that the typical Turfway, poly-track, scratch your head result. Because, I mean, the 7 could win.
Now, if you're playing, we have this high 5 carryover. So if you're playing a try or high 5, who do you try to single and put on top? 7?
Yeah, I mean, the most logical winners are Barton Hall, the 3 or the 7. One of those 2, but I would even play for the 1 to be somewhere in that 2nd to 4th range, because he's stretching out a little, he's going to close a little, he's going to be able to cut a little bit of ground off from down there. He was running deeper. I think the 1 has a chance to blow up the board, but at least like in a super high 5 supers. Right. Can hit the board, so it'd be every bit of 15-1. I would put that horse in. I would probably put the 4 in as an under type horse, just because ran 4th last time, 2nd route in a row now, so maybe they'll figure it out to keep running a little bit more. So, I mean, there's not a whole lot in here other than that. The 9, I guess, could keep running. I'm just looking for something crazy to happen, because I'm not convinced the 3 or 7 have to win. And once you get by there,
it's wide open.
It could be anything.
Those are definitely the top 2 horses for me as well. Number 7, Viva Perlet, back on January 30th on her seasonal bow. Coming off that long layoff at the 6.5 furlong distance. It's not her distance. She ran 6, beaten 9 lengths to a pretty decent field. The 2nd and 3rd place finishers came back and won. Stretches out to a more suitable route distance, gets the hot bug boy, and I mean, that horse is the top pick. Barton Hall, fresh off that maiden score. I'm going to throw in the 11 Silky Appeal when I spread as well. This one will be closing late, and I could see why did you use the 9 and 10 as well. But this is a race I am going to spread.
Yeah.
If you follow along, I'll give out my pick 4 later on, and I'm going to use a bunch of them here. And the 8th and final, don't forget that high 5 carryover. Well, the horses are tacked. They're in the paddock, and they're about to get riders up orders here in just a couple of minutes. We'll take a quick look at them. And for Dan Cronin, I'm Jimmy McNerney. Have a great evening. Good luck.